Pennsylvania. There's a gem of racing history tucked away in Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley. Names like Petty, Unser, Andretti, Earnhardt. They've all experienced this unique one-mile track. And today, it hosts the stars of the Busch Series for the final time. And welcome everyone to the Super 8 pre-race show live on FX. We take a look at the front row for the race today at Nazareth Speedway. Kyle Busch, a familiar face, sitting on the pole for the 4th time this season. And on his outside, Casey Kane's number 38 was qualified by Regan Smith, so he will actually have to move to the back of the field. And standing by right now with Casey Kane is our own Mark Garrow.
Rick, it's a case of good news, bad news, right? Casey, you've got a great car, but how difficult is it going to be getting up through the traffic?
Well, it's a tough track to pass, so we'll see what happens. But I think, you know, our great clips, Deca Batteries, Dodge was really fast yesterday in practice, and then Regan Smith did a great job qualifying at second for us. So we got a great pit stop out of that, or pit stall, and look forward to racing here today in Nazareth.
Now let's go to Glenn Jarrett. He's standing by with a guy who qualified up front and gets to stay there.
That's exactly right, Mark. He's not giving up anything. Kyle Busch, your 4th pole of the year. You've done the hard part now. You've got it up front. Can you keep it there?
We hope so. You know, the Lowe's guys have done an awesome job so far this weekend, every weekend. And, you know, we just try to do the best job we can, and hopefully we can keep that Lowe's Shopvac Chevrolet up front. And that's where the most important spot is, just to be out there in clean air. So maybe we can keep it there, and maybe we'll let some of the veterans go by and maybe follow them for a little bit to learn some more about this place, too.
I don't really believe he just said that. I don't think he's going to do that, guys. He's leading the point standings. He wants to stay up front all day. Let's go back up top to Rick Allen and Phil Parsons.
Well, thank you, Glenn. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons. Now, Kyle Busch is a driver who has never raced on this racetrack. Phil, you have raced on this racetrack. It is an extremely unique track, even if it is your first time.
Well, it really is extremely unique and difficult. This is really a one-of-a-kind as far as racetracks go. It's very much like a road course, but all left-hand turns. You've got a dogleg turn 1, which the guys have to get off the throttle. Then you have a little short shoot into a very, very flat, almost off-camber, which means the track banks away from you, turn 2. There's a long straightaway, the fastest part of the racetrack, extremely downhill, great elevation change into a very difficult, tight turn number 3. A very difficult racetrack to pass on, so that will make it even harder for the fellows that have to go to the back of the pack to try to make their way to the front.
And there are other drivers. Not only Casey Kane has to go to the back, but also Michael Waltrip and Greg Biffle. And right now, standing by with Michael Waltrip's Glenn Jarrett.
Well, hey, Phil Parsons, thanks for giving that description. Michael, you should have been listening to how to get around this track. You hadn't been here in 12 years, man. You got to start in the back. How's that going to be?
Well, I just talked to Casey Atwood, and he said that it took him a little while to get up to speed yesterday because he hadn't been here in a couple of years. So I'm glad I'm going to be in the back trying to learn the track a little bit. Shane Mill just did us a great job. He qualified the car right up front and gave Jerry and those guys all the input and knowledge they needed to get the thing set up right. So I just need a little bit of time to get used to everything and hopefully get us a win in our Aaron Chevy.
Well, good luck. Be careful out there. He had a great time last night going through traffic, guys. Finished 4th in the All-Star Challenge.
And a great story of determination in NASCAR. He attempts to return to racing today. That's Jeff Purvis. Welcome back to the Super 8 pre-race show, live on FX. Team owner Terry Bradshaw, NASCAR on, or NFL on Fox's Terry Bradshaw, helping out the officials there a little bit. We are coming up to the 12th race of the season for the Busch Series. That's a third of the season already gone, and it promises to be a record-setting year. We started out at Daytona. A man who knows Daytona very well, had a lot of success, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Oh, intensity is picking up.
Robbie Gordon in that 55 car, he races his teammate pretty hard through 1 and 2. He's trying to get back on the lead lap. Meanwhile, Jamie McMurray in the 30 car eases into turn 3, gets the run on the bottom. Robbie Gordon carries Harvick all the way to the top of the racetrack.
Oh, boy.
Jamie McMurray.
Bring it home, buddy. Come on. That's 4 in a row right here. 4 in a row. Stand up here. Spin. Back hands. Go low, go low, go low. Right, you're fair. Tosses out.
For the checkered flag, Harvick takes it low. Kane dives to the bottom, and on the apron, Harvick wins it.
Well, the king of burnouts.
Biffle will see the checkered flag. Series victory.
All right, this will be the race right here. Remember, no red flag. Martin Truex crosses with 12 to go.
No caution flag. We're still racing. Turn one. Benson got drilled by Stremme.
Stremme's car is torn all to pieces right in front.
Caution is out now. Caution is out now. They'll come around with 1 to go. White flag and caution.
It's over at the moment of caution. You gotta love a first-time winner. White flag waves, and Matt Kenseth waves bye-bye to the field. Caution is out. The field is frozen. They'll come around to the checkered flag. Here they come, and Kyle Busch is going to try to hold him off. Boyer tapped.
Oh, they're sideways. Look at Robbie Gordon on the high side. He gets all 4 cars, all the leaders.
Caution comes out as Michael Waltrip takes the pass. I've seen a lot of wild finishes and not too many to match up to this one. Oh, around goes Boyer off the bumper of Hamilton, who takes another car into the wall with him.
Now, caution is out. The field is frozen with 2 to go. Martin Truex Jr. will be the winner of this race. And Harvick has stalled his car. They losing precious time. They're pushing the car down to run. It will not fire.
Greg Biffle wins the State of Runners 300.
And I wasn't California dreaming that this ain't no winter day.
What a battle between Hornaday Jr. and Truex Jr. Side by side for the lead. Everybody on their feet cheering Martin Truex Jr.'s 3rd win of the 2004 season.
This is it right here. Last chance. Biffle's got to get to him. Can't do it. Can't quite make it. Kyle Busch scores his first Busch Series win. Good for him.
And with that first win, Kyle Busch vaults himself to the top of the Busch Series standings. Martin Truex Jr., David Green, 2nd and 3rd in those standings.
A couple Nextel Cup regulars, Michael Waltrip in 4th and Greg Biffle in 8th. Greg Biffle has already told us he's going to run all the races, and Michael Waltrip just might.
355 points separate your top 10. Well, 2 years ago, almost to the day, May 19th, 2002, Jeff Purvis was involved in what many thought was a career-ending injury. And it is great to see his face here at the track that accident occurred at. Our own Mark Garrow sat down with Jeff yesterday.
Caution's out. Caution's in. Oh, really hard hit between Jeff Purvis and Greg Biffle. Right in turn 2.
Jeff, just over our shoulder, that part of the racetrack where your life changed forever. How does it feel 2 years in between to be back in Nazareth?
You know, it's a, you know, I had the wreck, 2 years ago, the 19th, and it just really, you know, I left down here and I didn't know anything. It was bad, of course, but it was bad on my family and my friends and the race team and everybody involved. It was, you know, that's what people don't really understand. I mean, yeah, it was hard on me, of course. But it's really hard on the ones you love.
So why do this again? You've won at this level. You're a successful businessman back there in Tennessee. You got a great wife. You got great kids. You've proven yourself over and over again as a race driver. Why do you want to come back?
I'll tell you something. I really, truly, I do this because I love it. I like doing it. I don't like running like I did today, but, you know, I hadn't been in a race car in two years. And so for me to come out here and think that I was going to sit on the pole, which I really did think, and you know, this is not an easy sport. This is what people need to understand. It's more like golf than it is riding a bicycle.
Jeff, over the last 2 years, as you made your way through the recovery, who's been the rock? Who's been the anchor that you've been able to latch on to, hold on to help you get through this?
There's no doubt in my mind. My wife, Margot, she should have left me like a long time ago, and she you know, she stuck it out with me and really went through some hard times, really did, and you know, my sister Elaine and, you know, my whole family, they really, you know, they were really behind me. Now they're not as nearly as excited about me being back here now as I am, but they're here.
And what a great scene to see Jeff Purvis back here at this track where that accident occurred.
And it's also nice to see him back with his longtime car owner, James Spence. It's great to see those two together again.
And so we have just over 28 minutes until the green flag. Jeff Purvis joining 42 others to start the last Busch race at Nazareth.
Chevrolet is good. You know, Justborn, the corporation just down the road, so it'd be a good win in a lot of different ways. So, you know, I just want to run good, Mark, and if we can do that, you know, we've been working on top 10s. Now we're trying to get a top 5, and if we can put ourselves in that position, maybe we can get a win.
Glenn Jarrett standing by now with the other guy looking for a third win at Nazareth today.
And Mark, he's the defending champion of this race. Won here last year. Also has a Truck Series victory here. You know your way around this place, and you told me yesterday you got a better race car. And what you qualified with?
Oh, definitely. Butch and all the guys on AC Delco cars. We got an awesome race car. I just left a lot out there, so yeah, it's always nice to come from the back. But we're in the middle, and a couple of guys are going to the back. So we're on the inside, going in turn 1. It's pretty hectic first couple of laps, but we'll keep our patience and get this car up front.
That's an odd statement. I've never seen Ron Hornaday show patience, but try anyway. Thanks, Ron.
Well, Ron Hornaday and Tim Fedowa, two drivers that know their way around this track. Phil, you've raced it 6 times, the best finish of 9th.
Yeah, Tim Fedowa, I talked to him earlier right after the drivers meeting. I said, Tim, what is it about this place that you really like? He said, you know, the first time I came here, I ran well, and so the confidence just keeps building. The team knows that I run well here, so we don't make any extra effort for it, but for whatever reason, everybody's attitude is so good here that we always run well.
Well, our own Chris Myers has a knack for asking the tough questions, and last week he sat down with Bobby Hamilton Jr. for 10 of his best questions.
All right, AM or FM?
FM.
Music fan then, rather than talk radio?
Oh, yeah. I don't. Too many commercials. I like hearing music.
All right. Al Pacino or Robert De Niro?
Al Pacino.
All right. Favorite movie of his do you like?
Wasn't he like the mobster guy, Scarface?
Scarface? Yeah, he was tough. He was mean there. All right. World Series or Super Bowl?
Daytona 500.
How about playing cards or playing video games?
Video games.
Video game. You have a favorite one? Or
a lot of anything the NASCAR stuff.
Okay.
I love the career mode of it, how you build your team and stuff.
When you sit on an airplane, would you prefer a window or an aisle?
Window.
How about with music, country or rock?
Depending. I've got a CD from Elvis all the way to Marilyn Manson.
Really? All right, so that's a very eclectic group. How about late night TV, Letterman or Leno?
Probably Leno.
A short track or super speedway?
Super speedway.
Army or the Marines?
Well,
the
Marines.
Marines, of course, I should even ask. Pizza or pasta?
Pizza. Can't you tell?
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but looks like they're eating healthy.
Bobby Hamilton, one of the many stars on hand for the final running here at Nazareth.
I don't know about Marilyn Manson, though, in the CD player.
Well, he has some interesting taste. Next weekend, NASCAR returns for another full weekend of racing action. Thursday, it's Bud Pool qualifying on speed. Friday, it's Busch Series qualifying on speed. Saturday, Busch Series racing in the CarQuest Auto Parts 300 at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, here on FX, followed by Nextel Cup practice. Next Sunday, start your day with NASCAR this morning on Fox Sports Net, followed by Nextel Cup Racing with the Coca-Cola 600 at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on Fox. NASCAR returns next weekend across the Fox networks. Nazareth, Pennsylvania, the Super 8 pre-race show continues on FX. Well, last night, Martin Truex Jr. invited us to watch the All-Star race with him, and he showed us he's quite a host for a race car driver, that is.
Martin Truex Jr. indeed is the fastest car on the racetrack.
Here comes Truex, and he's Bristol's 5th first-time winner. Look at Truex and Jr. on the bottom. Truex wants the lead.
Martin Truex Jr. will be the winner of this race.
The man, Martin. Thanks, Junior.
Martin Truex Jr.'s 3rd win of the 2004 season.
Yeah, well, we can't be in Charlotte right now. Watch the NEXTEL All-Star race. We're here in Nazareth running the Busch race tomorrow, and got some friends and my family, some of my crew guys just hanging out. Cooking some clams from back home and having a good time. No better way to watch the race. Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing!
clams. We got raw clams, steamed clams, broiled clams.
In the All-Star race, we've got here in the open. Yeah, and this is not a race where you want to hold the driver back. No, Jamie.
Oh, he lifted.
Clam fritters, clam grill. Clams, clams.
Oh, boy, Jeremy, come on.
$4 when you gotta do it, so you big four.
You see that restart? You gotta get black flag.
Whatever.
You got it. You know me. Clam paella, clam bisque, linguine and clam sauce.
Clam casino.
Clam casino.
If you missed the NEXTEL All-Star race, unlike me, here's the highlights.
Well, thank you, Martin. That was a pretty good toss for a race car driver. The pageantry at Lowe's Motor Speedway was definitely humpy-like.
It didn't take long for action to happen there. The cars didn't even get to the first lap. They had a big wreck.
Problems early on, and then the first winner was Tony Stewart. The first segment, 8 cars were inverted. That was the number 8 on the phone.
They put Michael Waltrip up on the pole. Jimmy Johnson has some trouble. Spins coming off turn number 4.
Here's the pass for the lead. Matt Kenseth goes to the inside of Ryan Newman. Newman didn't change tires. Could have played a role in Matt Kenseth claiming the $1 million check at the end of the NEXTEL All-Star Challenge. See the results. Matt Kenseth coming home your winner. Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart finishing 2 and 3. And there we see Michael Waltrip in 4th.
Great run by Michael, who flew up here to run this race today. Starts at the back. Hasn't been here in 12 years, but great run. Casey Kane, also a good run. Top 10 and 7th.
Other drivers that were involved in that All-Star race, of course, Greg Biffle, Casey Kane, and Johnny Sauter, all involved in that. And they will all be running here today at Nazareth for the final race ever at Nazareth Speedway for NASCAR. To kick off our pre-race activities, we now go trackside.
Let's pray. God, we thank you so much for the privilege to live here in the United States of America, where we can come here and enjoy this sport. I ask that you'd be with our men and women who are overseas, protecting our freedom so that we can enjoy this. We pray that you be with each competitor and everyone here at this event today at Nazareth, that you would keep us safe, and may we honor and glory you with all of our talents and abilities, and we'll give you the thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please remain standing now for our national anthem. From Bethlehem, please welcome Catherine Christopher, Miss Northeast Pennsylvania.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang the bombs bursting in,
spectacular crowd on hand as the drivers will now climb into their cars for the start of today's race. The final race ever at Nazareth Speedway. Guys like Kenny Wallace have run many races here and looking to have a great finish on this very historic and great track. Welcome everyone to the Goulds Pump ITT Industries 200. Live on FX. Busch Series racing for the final time at Nazareth, Pennsylvania, the Nazareth Speedway. Let's go down trackside to Mark Garrow.
Well, Greg Biffle comes here to Nazareth trying to get over all that negative stuff, the big wreck that happened at Charlotte last night. Now, he got a big chuckle in the drivers' meeting earlier today. Kyle Busch stood up and said, "My name is Kyle Busch, K-Y-L-E. And by the way, Greg Biffle is the man for racing me so clean last week at Richmond. And everybody broke out laughing. It was sort of a light moment. Now, on the serious side, Greg comes here with a big challenge today. He's starting deep in the pack. He's going to have to work his way up through the pack. Very tough place to pass. He said, however, he thought it wouldn't be that hard to do. He said to get through the initial offering, but after that, he said, when we get to the top 10, things might get just a little bit tougher. Let's go down farther pit road to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mark, we already talked to Kyle Busch, and he has already proven this year what kind of racer he is. He's got his 4th pole here today. Yes, Kyle Busch is good, but there's a reason for that also in addition to his talent, and that is Lance McGrew, his crew chief. Lance McGrew last year took an unknown, unheralded driver by the name of Brian Vickers, did nothing but win the NASCAR Busch Series championship with the kid. Brian went on to the NEXTEL Cup Series. They brought Kyle Busch in, put him in the car. Lance decided to stay here and to work with Kyle, and what a job he has done so far. He told me this morning, he said, "Glenn, I've got a tiger by the tail. This kid is really good. He is so good in the car relating to me what the car needs." He said, "It makes my job real easy." Well, I'm telling you, a crew chief's job is not that easy. This young man, Lance McGrew, has a real knack for working with these kids, getting them up front and keeping them there, guys.
And he proved that last week. Kyle Busch garnering his 3rd pole last week and winning from the pole, looking to see if he can continue that here.
Let's give Ricky Hendrick a little credit, too, because he's the one that picked Brian Vickers last year and Kyle Busch.
Well, let's go down trackside to get this stuff kicked off.
Race fans, with the most famous words in motorsports, here once again our Grand Marshal Dennis Coggins.
On behalf of Goulds Pumps, ITT Industries, and our 7,000 Gotta Get It Goulds dealers, gentlemen, get pumped and start your engine.
The engines are fired. Martin Truex Jr. looks to claim his 4th win of the season, but he's got to get by Kyle Busch, who sits on the pole. NASCAR Busch Series racing continues on FX from Nazareth Speedway. Cars about to head out onto the track. Kyle Busch claiming the top spot, and currently the 38 of Casey Kane sits on his outside, but he's one of the drivers that will have to go to the back.
Michael Waltrip inside 2nd row. That's a shot of Michael right there. This will be the first look he's had at Nazareth Speedway in 12 years on this pace lap right here.
Michael Waltrip's 99 was qualified by Shane Meal yesterday.
What a great job by the substitutes. We had Regan Smith qualify Casey Kane's car on the outside pole, and Shane Meal jumped in Michael Waltrip's car. Shane's only about a foot shorter than Michael, jumped in that car, put a wooden block on the gas pedal, and qualified that thing 3rd.
Ron Hunterday Jr., as we mentioned earlier, has 2 wins on this track, looking to claim his 3rd and quite possibly last win.
There's another winner right there, Randy LaJoy. The 82 car, the Goulds Pump Special.
Row number 9, David Green and Paul Menard will make up that row, starting 17th and 18th respectively.
There's Martin Truex on the outside back there, row number 10.
Clint Boyer, a rookie, on the inside of row 11.
Robert Presley, a former winner, up to his outside.
This track, as you had mentioned, Michael being able to see it for the first time in 12 years, we talk about its uniqueness, but people really don't understand it. There is elevation changes. It's not your typical oval that you would normally think of when you're talking about tri-ovals.
Well, without a doubt, as I mentioned earlier, it's more of a road course to me, but it's all left-hand turns and you don't shift. Because all 3 turns, essentially there's 3 turns. Some people say there's 6. Some people say there's only 2. They don't count the dog leg right after the start-finish line as a turn. So every turn is completely different. Everyone is a challenge. You have to have a compromise in your setup.
As you see the last rows here, some of these drivers are opting to allow some of the Cup drivers to start just in front of them. They'll back up behind them. And so some of the people that are starting in the back are going to allow Greg Biffle, Michael Waltrip, those guys to move up just a couple spots for factors if they don't want to be involved in an accident early on with those guys trying to get by.
Well, I think that's a great move. They obviously know that those Cup drivers are going to be faster than they are, so why make it harder for them to pass them? Why not just get behind them and then maybe follow them? They will end up losing less time by doing that than they would if they started in front of them and then had to be passed.
Well, let's go down. Mark Garrow.
I think you need to watch out for Kenny Wallace today, guys. He's been running very, very well as of late. Here at Nazareth, 5 top 10s, 7 top 15s, and 8 tries, and has led each of the last 6 Busch races at this racetrack. His best finish is 3rd, so he only has to improve 2 spots to get up there to victory lane and win this last race at Nazareth. What you got, Glenn Jarrett?
Well, Mark, another guy that bears watching is Jason Keller in car number 22. Jason is a former winner here. He is tied with Tim Fedewa for the most top 10s of all time with 7 here at Nazareth. This is a car that he has won with in the past. The last time they ran it was at St. Louis a few weeks ago, where he finished 3rd. Jason Keller and his new crew chief, Wes Ward, have really started to click. I'm going to go out on a limb, guys, and say he's my pick to win this race today.
Not a bad pick there, Glenn.
I don't think he's going out on a limb.
Not much of one at all.
Let's take a look at the track description, if you can put it into stats and words.
Yeah, as we mentioned, it's 1 mile racetrack. You see the banking, 3 degrees turn 1, 4 degrees turn 2, turns 3 and 4, 6 degrees. That is very, very flat. 10 degrees is fairly flat for a racetrack. So this racetrack all the way around almost seems like it's banked the wrong way. So it's a very, very challenging racetrack. As we mentioned earlier, the backstretch, 1,200 feet, is the fastest part of the racetrack.
In our race analysis, 200 laps, 200 miles, of course, 1 mile tri-oval.
The pit windows 85 to 95 laps or miles. Remember, these drivers qualified with these setups. They impounded the cars last night after they qualified, so they have already lost 3 laps of fuel. Now they're going to have 3 pace laps, so that pit window for the first stop could be a little less than what we're seeing, 85 to 95 laps.
And they do want to finish this race under green, so the last lap that they would have a red flag come out would be lap 195. If a caution comes out after that, they would have to finish under caution if they can clean the track in time. We take a look at the weather here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. A beautiful day. The sun is out, clouds drifting by, ever so slowly, but another gorgeous day in Pennsylvania.
Greg Biffle said he wanted this racetrack to get hot and slick. That's what his setup is for. That's why he didn't qualify all that well. Mike McLaughlin qualified his car. That's why he was a little bit of a handicap, but he said he wants it to be hot and slick.
The sun beating down on the track. Current track temperature 118 degrees. The pace car moves on to pit road. Kyle Busch will see the green flag for the final race of Nazareth Speedway, and we are underway with Busch Series racing.
You want to be single file as quick as you can. The bottom of the racetrack is the group all the way around this place.
That very difficult, what we'll call turn 2, as they come onto the backstretch. Kyle Busch putting a little distance between himself and second place, the 22 of Jason Keller.
Tim Fedewa up in 3rd place. What a great job he does at this racetrack. I can't get over how good he is at this racetrack. Two wins, led a lot of laps here. Does a terrific job. Kyle Busch will lead the first lap and get the 5 bonus points.
That's the 7th time Kyle Busch has led a race this year, and this is only our 12th race.
Just turned 19 a couple of weeks ago. What an incredible talent he is.
Already 4 Busch poles for this young man in just 12 races. That is a great percentage.
If you can bat .333 in baseball, you'd be a Hall of Famer.
Got his first career victory 1 week ago at Richmond. And this is a track that a lot of the drivers have said, once you get out front or once you get through traffic, it's a lot better because it's hard to pass. And you mentioned it too, it's such a flat track.
It sure is. And again, almost off camber, you see everyone get to the bottom of the race. You can pass a slower car here on the outside maybe, but to pass a good car on the outside, you really have to have your act together.
We talked about the drivers that are going to have to move through the pack. The 38 of Casey Kane doing a great job already. He has, like we mentioned, started at the back of the field, but moved up to 25th already and looking to move up some more positions as well.
That is a terrific move so far. You see him following Jeff Purvis. We've documented his story. So great to have him back in that yellow transportation Dodge of James Finch's. See, looks like Stacy Compton on the outside there.
Side-by-side racing as they go down the back chute. Stacy Compton on the outside of Mike Bliss. Bliss trying to hold the line with Paul Menard in the Menard's 33 just behind these two. Stacy Compton wins the drag race to the start-finish line as they work their way through two.
Mike Bliss finished third in this race last year, has a runner-up finish in the Craftsman Truck Series here, so he knows this racetrack pretty well.
On board with Martin Truex Jr. looking ahead to the Timberwolf 37 of David Green. Martin Truex Jr. with the most wins this season, 3 wins, but yet still second in the point standings.
Just the inconsistency, just a touch of inconsistency. Kyle Busch has been so good. He's been in the top 10 the last 7 races in a row. That's what gets you a bunch of points.
Takes him 6 laps to start to lap the field. He's already put a car down, and so Kyle Busch really riding a rocket around Nazareth Speedway.
Got a little bit over a 1-second lead right now on Jason Keller. Tim Fedewa is third. And his teammate Casey Atwood is in fourth.
A good run early on for the 0 of Jason Leffler. He qualified 8th, already up into 5th position.
Jason has 4 top 10s out of his last 6 starts. A brand new team, essentially, the Haas Automation team. He said it's just taking a little bit of time, but they're doing a great job. They really have their program going right now.
He and Booty Barker seem to be clicking. Booty Barker being his crew chief. Those guys are clicking on all cylinders right now. They feel very comfortable with the equipment they've got. And look at Bobby Hamilton Jr. We had 10 questions with him earlier. I think the question is how long will it take for him to get to the front?
He qualified 10th. But he had the fastest car in practice. He said he left some on the table qualifying. He wasn't sure exactly why. He said, I've got to try to figure out how to translate the information so Harold Holly knows what I need for qualifying.
Jason Leffler on the inside tries to make the pass on Casey Atwood. Not able to do it. And now Bobby Hamilton Jr. looking to get by young Jason Leffler.
That's a give and take corner right there. That's the dogleg, turn number 1. You saw Bobby look to the inside. He was not quite far enough. He wasn't sure Jason knew he was there, so he backed out of it. Got a long way to go.
Now, you were talking earlier, Phil, off camera, about the fact that somebody told you once you could flat foot it all the way through that, what we would call a tri-oval. Now, have you ever been able to run wide open through the tri-oval here?
First time I came here was 1995, and Johnny Benson said, I think you can run the dogleg wide open. Well, the previous year to 1995, we had V6 engines, made a lot less horsepower. So we had the V8s for 1995, and we were going a lot faster down the straightaways. When I got to that dogleg, and I looked, that thing was a sharp turn. I'd never ran it wide open that time, nor have I since.
Well, Kyle Busch running very well out in front with more on him, Glenn Jarrett.
Well, guys, I'm watching the leaders, and they've already started lapping cars. They've only run about 10 laps now, and they're already starting to get into heavy traffic. And I think what that's going to do is going to allow Jason Keller to close in some on Kyle Busch, because Kyle has to kind of wait when he comes up on these cars, pick a spot to get by him, and Jason can follow him right through that traffic. So if Jason can stay close enough to him, he might be able to close up some of that 2.5 deficit that Kyle has put on him already. Hard to believe that in only 10 laps, we've already started lapping cars.
Kyle Busch, an impressive run so far. He's got over 1.5 seconds on second place Jason Keller. He's able to maneuver through the top traffic. We'll see how he does after this. Kyle Busch's first time at Nazareth Speedway. If he could claim a victory here, it would be the last person to ever win a Busch race here, and he's showing us that he's got the power to do it right now.
He's opened up about a 2.5 second lead right now on Jason Keller, and they're almost a 6 second lead on the third place car of Tim Fedewa.
Jason Keller trying to work his way through lap traffic. Some other guys that are trying to work their way through traffic. Well, the guys in the middle of the pack right now. In 21st, we've got Mike Wallace. 22nd is Jeff Purvis. What a great run for Jeff Purvis in that yellow number 1.
Sure is. He's doing a great job here. Jeff qualified in the 26th position. He was not real happy qualifying. He left some on the table. but he's got a whole mirror full of Greg Biffle right now, who's made his way from the back of the pack all the way up right behind Jeff Purvis.
That is the number 60 of Greg Biffle, just behind the yellow transportation number 1. With more on Biffle, Mark Garrow.
Rick, at the opening of this race, after a number of laps, you hadn't heard from Greg Biffle. He was just concentrating on chopping his way through the traffic. And just moments ago, he radioed his crew chief, Brad Parrott, hey, I'm a tick tight. Let's work on that at the next pit stop. Now, a little bit farther back, just a few car lengths from him, is Casey Kane. He has not said absolutely one word so far to his crew. So, again, he must like what he has and just concentrating on making sure he doesn't run into that lap traffic.
Casey Kane, again, you saw that he was on the outside full, but because Regan Smith qualified that car for him, he had to go to the back of the field, and so he's trying to move through the field just like Greg Biffle.
We've got 18 laps completed right now, no caution flags, which is really remarkable. As you see, Greg Biffle try to move on the inside of Jeff Purvis, but with so many good cars at the very back of the pack, Greg Biffle is able to make that pass. You see Casey Kane trying to look to the inside of Jeff Purvis, going in turn number 2. But all the guys doing a terrific job. The slower cars doing a great job moving out of the way of these faster cars, and the faster cars showing a lot of patience in getting by the slower cars.
And sometimes it's very difficult, I'm sure, for a driver to say, well, I've got to move over for a faster car, but they understand that once that car goes by, they can hop back in, run their lines, and then fix their cars at the first break.
That's right, and sometimes the shoe will be on the other foot too. They may want that luxury afforded them later on.
Strimmy moving up 3 spots from his starting position of 11th to 8th currently. Out in front, Kyle Busch, almost 2 seconds on Jason Keller. Tim Fedewa, Hamilton Jr. wrap out the top 5. In place right now. Another guy who is having some success now. He's been sharing a little bit of time with Kevin Harvick in that Reese's 21. It's Clint Boyer, and those guys came out here and did a little testing, I believe, Phil.
They sure did, and he had the most trouble through the dog leg, which we call turn number 1. Ron Hornaday, his teammate, was here testing with him, who's very, very good on this racetrack. And Clint said he could not believe how smooth and good Ron Hornaday was, especially through that part of the racetrack, as you see him try to move by one of the lap cars. But Clint's doing a great job. He's in 17th. Again, first time here. He's only run 4 races so far this year. Had a terrific run in Nashville, racing Kyle Busch for the win. They got together. The top 4 cars wrecked. Michael Waltrip was running 6th at the time, ended up passing them all and ended up winning the race. But Clint Boyer's doing a terrific job. A lot of talent. I was talking to Kevin Harvick back, I think, at Charlotte earlier this week, and I said, what about Clint Boyer? He said, unbelievable talent. He is going to be in a real good one.
Saw him sawing on the wheel there. Ron Hornaday up to 7th position. He started in 9th and so has moved 2 spots. More on him, Glenn Jarrett.
Yeah, guys, Ron Hornaday is saying that his car is pretty good. It's just a little tighter than he would like right now. That's one reason he's having a little trouble working the lap traffic. So his crew chief, Butch Hilton, told me the first chance they get, when they come in, they'll try to free that car up for him just a little bit, but just a little tighter than Ron would like right now. It's hard to imagine, as hot as it is out here and as slick as that racetrack is, that a car can be tight, but that's what Ron says it is.
You're right, Glenn. A lot of times it used to be, as you well know, when Glenn and I used to race, that the hotter it got, the looser the racetrack used to get. But now it seems like the hotter it gets, whatever end of the car wants to start sliding first, which in the case of a push, that means the front end wants to slide more. That's the end of the car that will slide first. If the car has a tendency to be loose, get hotter and slicker, then the car is going to be looser. But Ron Hornaday is not driving the car that he really wanted to bring here. He wanted to bring a drop snout car, which means a lower suspension points. He wrecked that car at Richmond. The guys had to jump in, get this car ready, bring it here, and he said it's a great race car. It is not his first choice, however.
Well, Ron Hornaday, as Glenn mentioned earlier in the show, is our defending race champion. Won this race last year after Randy LaJoie claimed the pole position as well as the track record, which will now sit forever. Randy LaJoie will be your track record holder forever because this is the last Busch race ever at Nazareth Speedway. We see Jason Keller has moved up to 2nd. Glenn, what's happening with Jason?
Well, Rick, Jason has pretty much maintained his own. He has fallen back just a little bit. I talked to his crew chief, Wes Ward, to find out if there were a problem with the car. He said, no, the car is fine. That Jason is just not catching the lap cars at exactly the point on the racetrack he wants to, so that's slowing him down. He's about 2.8 seconds behind right now. Moving back to third, the 12 car of Tim Fedewa has the same problem. His car is actually tight, just like Ron Hornaday's was, and Fedewa has fallen back about 8 seconds behind leader Kyle Busch. So a couple of guys fighting tight cars, another guy just not catching traffic when he wants to.
Glenn, you're exactly right about the traffic, because this racetrack, again, is so difficult to pass. You catch a car in the wrong spot, and it could cost you well over half a second in that corner, not over the overall lap time, just in that corner. And if you get caught in turn number 2 over there, that leads you to the long back straightaway, the fastest part of the racetrack, you could lose even more time than that.
Kyle Busch has put 28 cars already a lap down. We're through 33 laps. Busch out in front. As though he's on a Sunday drive at Nazareth Speedway, out in front of Jason Keller. He has over 3.5 seconds of lead on Tim Fedewa currently in the number 12 or in the number 22.
That's Jason Keller, about 3.7 seconds behind. Got a flat tire on the 9 car right there.
Eddie Bear dropping onto the access road to pit road.
That's one nice thing about this racetrack. We talk about the bottom of the racetrack being the place to be, how hard it is to pass. They have an access road to come in and out of the pits here, and the cars are obligated to use that access road. They have a commitment line like we see at a lot of the racetracks, but they have to use, there's the entrance to that access road coming into the pits right now. They will have to use that access road as they make a pit stop.
Real tight racing. Casey Atwood in the Navy number 14 just in front of the Marines number 25. A little bit of battle for the armed services right there. But great racing. Those currently 3rd and 4th, and 4th and 5th. Tim Fedewa up in 3rd. And Bobby Hamilton back in 5th currently. And that's been our top 5 pretty much this whole race so far. With more on Bobby Hamilton, Mark Garrow.
Well, Rick, he is running 5th, but you would think, losing as much ground as he is to leader Kyle Busch, that perhaps he may be communicating with his crew chief Harold Hawley on how to make the car better. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Harold just told me Bobby hasn't said a word. He's just behind the wheel, ripping it and ripping it.
Guys like Casey Kane, Michael Waltrip, Greg Biffle, all starting at the back of the field. Michael Waltrip currently is in a little bit of danger going a lap down.
He sure is. He's just a few seconds in front of the leader. That's him trying to get by the 36 car of Steve Grissom. Michael's he's actually passed Casey Kane and moved ahead of him. You see Casey right there, the orange car. But Greg Biffle now has made a pretty major move. He's all the way up to the 18th position. But these fellas right here, Michael Waltrip, Casey Kane, Steve Grissom, are in severe danger of going a lap down. Kyle Busch is breathing down their neck.
Michael Waltrip at the beginning of the season mentioned that if things went well for him, he was going to try to run the whole season. And this was about the time in the season that he said he was going to make his decision. Well, last week at Richmond, it almost made his decision up for him. He did not have a good race a week ago.
Cut something down right there, went very high there, got into the back of Mike Wallace and spun out here.
4 times Michael Waltrip was involved in accidents or problems, and so a disappointing day for Michael Waltrip. He was your points leader early on in the Busch Series, and then Richmond definitely did not help him in that chase for the Busch Series championship.
Yeah, that was the hardest hit right there, the last of the 4. But Michael obviously is committed to running here. He's committed to running Charlotte next week and then Dover. So, you know, he still may get back in this thing as he tries to get by Jeff Purvis and maybe run for this thing.
Mark?
Michael Waltrip right now is reporting to his crew chief he's sliding the right front tire, so he, like a number of drivers, battling a tight condition, and also one of a number of drivers with Kyle Busch now in his rear view mirror, hoping they catch a quick yellow flag.
And Kyle Busch is a guy who doesn't want to see the yellow come out, because the faster he can click off the 200 laps here, the faster he'll see that checkered flag. Kyle Busch out in front at Nazareth Speedway. Welcome back to NASCAR Busch Series on FX. Kyle Busch continues to dominate. Has led all 51 laps so far at Nazareth Speedway, and we haven't heard a lot from him. Glenn, have you heard anything about Kyle Busch?
Yeah, Rick, he called in and told Lance McGrew a while ago that he's starting to lose the front grip, starting to slide the nose a little bit, that what he wanted to do was to adjust the brake bias in the car. He's going to try to turn and put a little bit more rear brake in the car to try to help turn it a little bit quicker. So that's what they're working on right now. Lance said they will make a slight adjustment to the car when they pit, which incidentally should be somewhere around lap 90. So they're a little bit over halfway through this fuel run now. 90 to 92 laps is when they're expected.
Glenn, he's got a miracle right now of Jason Keller. That's the first he's seen of Jason Keller in a long time. But you're exactly right about that brake bias. That's one adjustment a driver has. As Glenn, as you well know, if the car is pushing, you want to put some more rear brake, which means it stops the rear of the car a little bit more percentage-wise than it does the front. Now, if you were loose, you would want to dial more front brake in. But Kyle Busch is going to dial a little bit of rear brake in, try to help that pushing condition. Right now, he's got a miracle of Jason Keller.
We had talked earlier about 3 seconds was the difference between the 5 of Kyle Busch and the 22 of Jason Keller. Well, if they go by the start-finish line, 0.14 seconds separate the leader and second place, Jason Keller. Now, Jason Keller has led the most laps here. 151 laps he led back in 2002. But Kyle Busch has led all of the laps so far. So Jason Keller trying to reel in that #1 position for the first time. Here comes the 5 of Kyle Busch.
What a great move by Jason Keller. He got down on the power coming off turn number 3. He was able to out-accelerate Kyle Busch and take the lead for the first time. Kyle Busch has lost the lead this entire race.
And that's the first time Jason Keller has had the lead this season.
That's incredible. As good as that team always in, that's a championship caliber team. That's the same team that won the championship with Jeff Green. Jason Keller's been second in the points before, so this team knows how to win.
Jason Keller knows how to run well here too. His 3rd race he has led here. We're riding along with Kenny Wallace in the Stacker 2 number 23. We take a look at the Stacker 2 track fact. Average start of our Nazareth winner is 5th. Currently out in front, Jason Keller started 4th, so he could actually improve that average.
Yeah, and see, it's going to be a little bit deceiving if somebody like Casey Kane or Greg Biffle wins the race, because they really started to the back of the pack, but they're officially will get credit for starting wherever their cars were qualified. Speaking of Casey Kane, he has just now gone a lap down. That's our leader, the 22 of Jason Keller. Casey Kane right behind him, and 1 lap down now, and there's our second place car of Kyle Busch, the 5 Lowe's car.
There are actually 23 cars on the lead lap currently. Out in front of them is the 22 of Jason Keller.
Got Johnny Sauter in the pits. He's the first of our leaders, or of our good competitive cars, that has made a pit stop. He's going to get 4 tires. It's a little bit early. We've only completed 63 laps. We fully expected everyone to run about 80 laps.
And Johnny Sauter could be just not thinking that the car is worth anything. Mark, what's going on?
That team decided to short pit because the car was so tight they were losing too much ground. So they thought, let's make the adjustment. Let's get in here, get fresh rubber before the lead cars do, and perhaps we can pick up some valuable track position, gain some ground, and maybe hold it after this series of green flag pit stops.
Boy, the worst thing could happen to Johnny Sauter right now is for the caution to come out, because he will be at least 2 laps down should the caution come out before our leaders make their pit stops.
Jason Keller putting some distance between himself and Kyle Busch. We've had 2 different leaders. Jason Keller now, Kyle Busch at the start of the race. We'll be back with more Busch Series racing on FX. Back to Nazareth Speedway for the final Busch Series race ever on this facility. This is the 17th running at Nazareth Speedway. Our leader, Jason Keller, beginning to check out on Kyle Busch, just as Kyle had done earlier.
Steve Grissom, the 36 car right in front of him. Robert Presley, the Clorox number 47. And there's our Michael Waltrip, fresh from Charlotte last night, just in front of that group. So these guys definitely would love to have a caution flag. And as a matter of fact, the caution's out right now. What a terrific break
for Michael Waltrip, Steve Grissom, Robert Presley, all those drivers right in front of our leader, Jason Keller.
Don't believe a spin happened on the track. We'll try to find out exactly why the caution has come out. Jason Keller out in front. We've had 2 leaders. Kyle Busch led the first 54 laps. Jason Keller has led every lap since then.
Casey Kane will be the recipient of the free pass, so he will get back on the lead lap. He'll have to start the race after this caution flag from the tail end of the longest line, but he will be back on the lead lap. That's what's critical.
That flag letting the drivers know pit road is not open this time by. That's saying pit road is closed.
What a horrible break for Johnny Sauter and Randy LaJoie. Those are 2 cars that short pitted because their cars weren't quite right, but now both of those cars are 2 laps down. A horrible break for those guys.
There's no racing back to the caution flag. So when the caution flag is displayed, everyone holds their position. If there's a question, they will ride side by side with the car that they are in question with, and then NASCAR will make a decision. And you see everyone in single file line, so no questions up in front. At the drivers' meeting earlier, NASCAR let them know that the first time by, the pit road would be closed. Second time by, they would open it up for safety purposes.
Still have 22 cars right now on the lead lap. It will be 23 after Casey Kane is given the free pass as they get ready to go back to racing. But it's going to be interesting to see what kind of adjustments these drivers can make on these cars to see if they can run with Jason Keller and Kyle Busch, because they have driven off from the rest of the field.
Well, Phil, will any of them just take 2 tires for trying to get track position to come off of pit road onto the track?
I really don't think so, because they've gone so long. They've gone almost a full run anyway. They've gone 73 laps. They're going to be pitting on lap 74. I think every one of these drivers will take 4 tires this time.
They will have to go at least 2 pit stops. You can't make it on 1 because of fuel. If somebody would, they would be getting better fuel mileage than has ever happened in the Busch Series. So you see the green flag flying, and Jason Keller will lead the lead lap cars onto pit road as they work their way around the access road. We will throw it down to Mark Garrow and have him tell us what's going on down on pit road. Mark?
Well, the first of the top cars coming in at this end is Bobby Hamilton Jr., the Team Marine Ford. Now, the cars behind him have already dropped out, so he's got a clean entrance and a clean exit. They'll change 4 tires. Now, what they're trying to help with him is that the car is tight, so they're changing the air pressure on the right side tires. They're also taking some wedge out to try to free the car up, to try to get it to turn for Bobby. They're already around the left side of the car. They dropped the jack. He's down and away. A good stop for this crew. They've made the adjustments. Let's go to Glenn.
Well, Mark and Jason Keller, the leader's pits, he's got a rear grip problem. They're going to add a little bite to the car. They're going to go down 1 round on the track bar. They're going to take a pound of air pressure out of the right rear. The only changes that he is going to make. Meanwhile, next door at Kyle Busch, he has a lot of problems. They're going to try to put a rubber in the right rear spring. They're also going to take some tape off of the brake ducts. The brakes are really, really hot. He couldn't turn the car. They're also going to put a piece of tape on the nose to try to increase the downforce on the front of the car.
The Marines team very happy as Bobby Hamilton Jr. first off pit road on our first set of pit stops. So the Marines getting the job done, getting Bobby Hamilton Jr. out in front in the NASCAR Busch Series race at Nazareth. Stop. Mark, what'd they do down there?
I tell you what, a lot of fist pumping, a lot of high-fiving down here in the Team Marine pit. Harold Hawley, the crew chief, outstanding stop.
I tell you what, these guys have been digging hard on the Team Marines car here. Bob Jr.'s doing an awful good job. We didn't qualify as well as we wanted to. We messed around there and got a little bit too loose, and we knew pit selection-wise was going to be in trouble. Years prior, I've always been on the other end of pit road, and it just gets real cluttered down there. So we chose to take this first pit, and it worked out really well for us. The guys nailed it. They've been digging hard on the pit stops now. Schubert's been working with them. That's what you got to have to win races right there.
How big of adjustment did you make in the race car, that pit stop?
Just some wedge and tire pressure. Just a little tight through the center, but I think we'll be okay.
Let's go back upstairs.
Well, as fast as Bobby Hamilton Jr. was on his pit stop, our other leader, Kyle Busch, early on, didn't look as though he had as good a stop. Glenn?
Yeah, sorry guys. I was talking with Lance McGrew, the crew chief on the 5-car. Lance, what happened? They seem to have lost the nose on the car. You made a lot of changes on it.
Yeah, we just, front grip, just started losing the front end. You know how it is. If you have to make any kind of adjustment during a pit stop nowadays and it involves a spring rubber or something, you're going to lose a pile of spots. So, guys did a good job. We put a spring rubber in. We had to pull tape off the brake ducts, tape off the front grill, made air pressure changes. It's like, what didn't we do? But I tell you what, the low shop back cars been awesome today. Qualified great. Kyle's doing an awesome job last week to win at Richmond. It's just been too good to be true.
Well, it has been good, but now we're going to see what Kyle Busch is made of because he's got a lot of traffic in front of him, guys.
Great pit stop by Jason Leffler's outfit, too. Came in 7th and went out 2nd.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. leads him to the restart, and he will be our 3rd different leader today at Nazareth. Jason Leffler also with a good stop. Came out of the pit 2nd, and right behind him, one of the best restart artists in the NASCAR Busch Series, Ron Hornaday Jr.
Boy, he sure is. There's nobody any better on a restart than Ron Hornaday. Jason Leffler, I'm sorry, has him right now by a couple car lengths. But Ron Hornaday is so good at this racetrack. Again, we mentioned this was not the car he wanted to bring here, but it's a pretty darn good one. He was 3rd when the caution flag came out. He had already worked his way all the way up to 3rd from where he started back in 9th.
Two guys making the move up. Martin Truex Jr. in the Taco Bell number 8. Started 18th, currently 9th.
That's David Green, the 37 car right in front of him, trying to work underneath Tim Fedewa on the 12 car. Another great pit stop by David Green's bunch. He came in 13th and came out in the 8th position.
Here's a great battle for 2nd. Jason Leffler out in front in the 0-0. Ron Hornaday in the 2. And Ron Hornaday, defending race winner here from a year ago, wants to get past Jason Leffler so he can set his sights up front to Bobby Hamilton.
Well, Bobby Hamilton has opened up almost a 2.5-second lead in what, just 2 or 3 green flag laps. So he really has a great race car. We mentioned earlier that he was the quickest car in practice, and practice was a little bit deceiving as far as looking at the sheet, because these drivers spent most of their time practicing in race trim because these cars were impounded. They did no changes to these cars after qualifying. They absolutely were not allowed to touch them other than to take a little bit of tape off the front of the cars and maybe adjust the air pressure, were the only adjustments they were able to make since qualifying.
Clint Boyer made the comment that when he was following Ron Hornaday around this track in testing, he was unbelievably smooth. Right now, Jason Leffler has a whole bunch of Ron Hornaday in his rearview mirror.
You see Ron laying off him in the center of turn number 3 down there, trying to get the power down, trying to turn underneath Jason, but Jason is using a little bit higher exit and able to get down on the power and actually open up a little space on Ron Hornaday that time.
And while this battle continues for 2nd, that gives Bobby Hamilton Jr. the opportunity to put distance between himself and the rest of the pack.
The 14 Navy car, Casey Atwood, following Ron Hornaday. He's currently running in the 4th position, and Mike Bliss is up to 5th.
Great battle for 7th. David Green in the 37. Currently in 6th. Actually, 7th is Martin Truex Jr. in the 8th.
Let's listen to Martin Truex. See how he works the throttle. You see him, this is turn 2, the exit. He has to pedal the throttle till he gets the car swung out to the wall. Hard, wide open down this downhill back straightaway. You see him tries to get the car turned into center. Then easy down on the throttle. Try to apply just a little bit of throttle as you go towards the start-finish line. Now here comes the dogleg. See him off the throttle. Back in the throttle, right at the center of the corner, the apex of the corner, to try to swing out to the wall. Here we are back under the bridge in turn number 2.
Climbing ever so slightly there. As he comes out of 2, he goes downhill then into turn 3. Bobby Hamilton Jr. trying to check out on the rest of the field. Jason Leffler holding on to 2nd, but for how long? Ron Hornaday Jr. right on his tail.